All right, welcome back to the Brand Currency Podcast, where we break down branding and design in a way that actually makes sense for your business. My name is Charles McGill. I'm your host, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host.
Hi, I'm Jonsi McGill. I'm his wife and business partner.
Okay, and today we're going to talk about how DIY or do-it-yourself branding may be costing you more than you think, right? The logos and all the designs that you do yourself, it may be costing you more than it's saving you. What you think about that, babe?
Whew, I think it's finally time we talk about this. This is the episode I've been looking forward to.
Looking forward to it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because, it's really important.
Yeah.
Like, people don't really understand this. Like,
Yes.
There's not a whole lot of, when it comes to business, there's a whole lot out there on social media.
Yes.
There's a whole lot of regurgitated stuff from all these gurus and whatnot. But what they will not tell you is this right here.
Yeah, the true cost. So let's talk about it, right? Why do so many businesses or business owners try to do all their branding themselves, right? Why do they do that, right? And the thing is, like, fundamentally, we get it, right? Because oftentimes it's a cost thing, right?
That's pretty much what it boils down to.
That's
It's
the
not
easiest
like,
answer.
let me spend hours and hours doing this design myself.
Well, I don't think they know that it's going to, initially, they don't know that it's going to take that long.
You're right. All they know is it's going to save them some money.
It's going to save them some money. They've been told they can do it really cheaply and quickly by themselves, right? They've been told that, and I get it, right? There's all these options. You can go with cheaper platforms like Wix. You can go with or GoDaddy even. You can go with tools like Canva, which are inexpensive, sometimes even free tools that you can use to do these things yourself. And I get it because you're trying to save money. Maybe you don't have a lot of startup costs. You're not even sure what to invest in. You're being told that you could just do it yourself and it's quick and easy. And that's where they get you, right? Because if you have spent any time like really doing this thing, really doing this thing called entrepreneurship, you understand that it's not that easy to do it. It isn't that quick. And oftentimes the money that you end up spending, right, is more than you anticipated because it also takes your time.
Right. Because time is money.
And here's the thing about it. Let's be honest. If you're really trying to make money in this world of entrepreneurship, is having a homemade looking brand really the brand you want? If it look homemade, if it looked like you did everything yourself, is that really what we trying to do?
So like, if you go to, a convention or something and there's a booth that has really nice displays and it has, amazing design. And then you go see somebody else and, it's like a little table. They ain't got no tablecloth. All the stuff is all scattered around, but they're like, here I am.
Here I am. I did it myself. I'm here, right? Yeah, exactly. That's similar. Like, some people have been unfortunately kind of told that you're going to get like brownie points for doing it yourself and for showing up anyway. And I get it, because to a degree, it makes sense, because if you don't show up, you get $0. But if you do show up, there's a chance you get money, right? Here's the other part that they don't tell you though. If you show up and you're not representing yourself well, your conversions are going to be low. The perception of your brand is not going to be great. And the experience that people have is not going to be great. And that impacts you too in a lot of ways.
Oh, yes.
And so it's probably better. Like my saying is, people say done is better than perfect, right? My saying is, because they always kind of juxtapose those, right? It's always like, it's either going to be done or it's going to be perfect. And I'm thinking that's not a true comparison, right? Because it's not an either or. Either it's done. Basically, when they say done, they mean any old kind of way. Like however I could do it, I did it, it's done.
And it's out there.
It's done and it's out there. Either it's done or it's perfect. Those are two, that the perfect thing is an extreme, and it's not even something we should ever even have a goal for. Nothing's going to be perfect. So my saying is, done right is better than perfect.
Say it again.
Done right is better than perfect.
Okay.
Meaning you put your best foot forward. You did everything you could do to make it look as good as it could, whether that be through your own do-it-yourself measures or you purchasing or you outsourcing, but you showed up the way you're supposed to show up and you gave yourself the best opportunity, And that is better than perfection. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about DIY. We're going to talk about all the myths when it comes to people trying to save money by doing it themselves. So we're also going to talk about like real life examples of, cheap branding versus premium branding, how it impacts impressions in terms of how people perceive that. We're going to get into it.
Okay, good.
You ready for that, babe?
I'm ready because people don't understand that branding is foundational for your business.
Yes.
It's like, people are probably spending a whole bunch of money in areas of their business that they probably don't need to yet, right? You have to establish some things before you invest in other things, right? Ooh. And branding is one of those.
It's one of those things that's foundational that people don't always tell you that's foundational, right? So we're going to talk about that because I think that's something that we don't talk about enough. We'll talk about some of the motives in terms of why people are probably saying what they're saying and be transparent about our motives, right? Because people will be like, well, of course you're going to say that, right? So let's talk about it.
Okay, so here's the thing. Premium branding isn't just about looking good, right? What is it about, Charles?
I mean, you're right. It's not just about looking good. It's about positioning. It's about strategy. It's about making sure you connect with your target audience. That's what it really is about. It's people think that it's about being fancy or glitter, gold, shiny. They always kind of like make that like, oh yeah, if you're trying to be fancy with it, right? Remember sometimes we've heard that before. People like, I don't want a fancy website. I don't want
I don't want a fancy funnel.
I don't want things I don't want it too fancy, right? And we're like, no. When we say premium, when we say, that it should look like right, we're not saying fancy. We're saying it should be strategic, be intentional, and hit your target, right? So if your audience is more apt to kind of, convert based on a certain type of design, then we want to be focused on presenting it that way. That's all it is.
And the average small business owner who's creating their own designs probably doesn't have the knowledge or the experience to design in a way that, is talking to their audience.
Yeah, they're not even thinking about it that way.
Right.
Most people, when they're designing, especially to do it themselves, they're doing it based on what they think looks good.
Okay, so what's the real difference between the do-it-yourself DIY and the done-for-you professional?
So typically DIY or do-it-yourself, you're likely dealing with limited tools and limited skill set. Right? That's likely the case. I'm not saying in every case, because there's some people who have access to the professional tools and they have access and they have real skill. But most of the people do not have that skill, right? I think about it like, when everybody, if you talk to an art teacher, they'll be like, everyone can draw. Everyone's an artist, right? And then you go try to draw something and then you see the majority of the class got stick figures and there's a few people who actually know what they're doing, right? And there's a clear difference between the two, right? But just because you got a paintbrush don't make you a painter. Just because you got Canva don't make you a graphic designer. I'm just being real.
That is real.
Right? Just because you got access to a website tool don't make you a website designer. Right? I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I'm gonna let y'all know y'all being gassed up. I'm telling y'all the truth. That's the way. It's the truth. You're not just because I got a hammer don't make me a carpenter. Just because I got a spatula don't make me a chef.
Just because Canva is bae doesn't mean it's a good relationship.
I guess you could say it that way, right? I'm not trying to people who rock in Canva, that's cool. Like it's all good, but just understand that likely when you're in a do-it-yourself type of mode, you're limited in terms of your skill set. You're limited in terms of what you could do. Now, Canva has made a huge progression in the types of things it can do. So now it can do some professional things. And there are professional people who use Canva and do it very well at a high level and make it look professional. But that's not the average person.
And they will tell you, they will market to people, I created this in Canva and so can you. And it'll still look amazing and talk to your audience.
Yeah. So the professional part or the difference is oftentimes too, with a done do it yourself, is they're not thinking about color psychology. They're not thinking about fonts. They're not thinking about the brand cohesion, right? To them, orange is orange is orange. But to a designer, to a professional, orange is not the same orange as everybody else's. There's a hex code. There's an actual number assigned to this color so that every time you show up online, it looks exactly like this. And there's no way that we're deviating from it because we're professionals, and there's got to be, brand cohesion, right? It's got to look good the same way. When amateurs are doing it, or people who are doing it themselves, oftentimes they're missing some of these nuances. They're missing some of the detail of the colors, of the fonts, of the spacing, of the, the shadows.
The spacing.
Yeah, drop shadow, depth, layering the images properly, like
making the fonts too small
or too big,
cutting images off,
placing like font on top of, in front of people's faces.
Oh, that is my biggest
just doing
pet
a lot of
peeve.
different like things that it's like it's done for you, and you just don't understand a lot of these rules because it's not your world, and it's cool. And like I said, sometimes people can be cool, but let's once again, just because you got a pot and a spoon and a spatula and some seasoning don't make you Gordon Ramsay, right? It don't make you, what I'm saying, a professional chef.
Right.
It just don't, right? And even if your kids tell you your food is banging, like, it don't mean you can open up a restaurant, right? Like you gotta there's levels to this, right? So when it comes to like basically professionals utilize a strategy behind every choice. So like if you're getting like branding, and you're dealing with a company that understands your goals is to launch a campaign or to convert, then they're gonna design in a way that has marketing in mind. They're gonna be thinking about your target audience and thinking about how to position your brand and how things look so that it attracts the most amount of people, more specifically the people that you're trying to attract, right? Because even though our company, for example, Panda Commission, we are capable of doing a lot, there's some clients of ours where we can, if we're not careful, we can over design. And what I mean by that is they've recognized their clientele likes something that's less polished. They still come to us because even though it's less polished than what we would normally do, we're professionals so that we know how to actually put out the less polished version consistently because we know the rules that made it less polished. Whereas someone who's an amateur may mess around and do it, but not understand exactly the psychology or strategy of what is polished versus less polished, right? Not understanding that when you actually, make colors, or not colors, but actually elements on a graphic, like layered, and there's not a lot of depth between them, that when they're just kind of put on top of each other, that looks less polished than when you're creating layers by creating depth and shadow, and different spacing to make it look more polished. There's different ways you can create things, and it's subtle differences, but those subtle differences are the difference between professional and amateur, right? It was funny. I had this one former client of mine who was, and they should have went through a better process before they start working with us because they didn't really understand that we were a premium brand. And so the people that recommended us understood that. And the people that recommended us wanted this person to have a more polished look. But that person wasn't ready for that polished look. It didn't understand the nuance of the polished look. So when we presented what we presented, the person was like, hey, this don't look much different than what I did myself. And they wanted me to agree with them. And I said, looking at the difference between what they did and what we did, it was night and day. There was no comparison. I even broke down like, okay, the font's different, the spacing, the color, all this. And they were like, oh, you just changed the font? That's not a big deal. I could do that. Well, you could do that.
But you didn't.
But you didn't do that. You didn't do that, right? And why didn't you do that? Because you can't tell the difference between my font choice and your font choice. You think it's all the same. It ain't the same. You use a New Times Roman to present a document when you're asking somebody for thousands of dollars. New Times Roman is giving the vibes of you just open up Word and just start typing.
Just slap something together?
Just slap something together. You weren't even trying. What we presented was actually a professional looking document that doesn't look like any random person can do that or replicate that, right? Which would give a better impression to that potential client that they're trying to reach. But then they were like getting all upset and they end up showing me something that someone did from Fiverr. right? Some amateur did, freelancer, right? Look at this. This is really nice, right? I said, it looks like it was done from Fiverr. And they got all upset. Like, well, how could you say that? Well, because it looks like a template.
Well, in their mind, they're thinking it's a professional design because they paid for it.
Because they paid for it, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So they don't understand that there's levels to this.
Even levels to that.
There's levels upon levels upon levels. Like there's designers and agencies you can pay.
Yep.
And then there's premium branding agencies.
Yeah.
That will have a totally different approach. And because they're not a designer and they don't understand, sometimes when you present something, they don't even really understand what they're looking at because they're not their audience.
Yeah.
They're not the person they're trying to sell to. So their perception of, the designs is like, they can't really judge it because they're not their client.
And also, like, some people can't recognize the difference between premium and not premium. And what I mean by that is, for some people, a car is a car is a car. Mm-hmm. But there is a difference. And I remember this, like, Cat Williams, he made this, it was a joke. It was a while ago, a long time ago. He talked about how when people got the Chrysler 300, how everybody thought it was like a Rolls Royce. They're like, oh, they look the same. And he said, yeah, it looked the same until a Rolls Royce pulls up. Until you get a Rolls Royce right next to that 300, you can see the difference.
That's it.
That's right? And I think about that, like, and also, like, I think about, like, our I'll say my journey, not ours, my journey with steak. There was a time,
definitely not ours.
Yeah, definitely not ours, because you've known, right? I wasn't in the know, y'all. I didn't know. But there was a time where, I thought, shoot, steak at Applebee's was okay. I thought Red Lobster steak, I get the steak with the shrimp. I mean, we at Red Lobster. This is fire, right? This is good, right? I remember, before Beyonce said it, I was already, if I was trying to court you back in the day, I took you to Red Lobster. You know what I'm saying?
And then I upgraded you.
Yes, and then you upgraded me, right? And then eventually I started to have different experiences and get exposed to different things and realize that there's different levels to how steak is prepared. Mm-hmm. There's different levels to the cut of the meat, right? How it's cooked, well done, which I would never get now, but versus medium and medium rare and all these different things and why that matters. And for some people, they don't care. Like, it don't matter. A steak is steak is steak. Mm-hmm. But no, a steak is not like, they're not the same. Mm-hmm. I remember just recently, I had an opportunity. We were in Vegas, and I was able to take you out and my mom out, right? Mm-hmm. And we went to a Gordon Ramsay restaurant, right? Mm-hmm. The two different occasions. My mom had never been there. Me and you've been there multiple times, right? But one of the times, my mom, she wanted to order a steak because she was like, I've been seeing on TV and hearing about this Gordon Ramsay steak. I gotta taste it because it's gotta be different, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, it was good, a lot of money, right, for this steak, right? But man, when you bit into that steak, it was so moist. It was so like, and I think people don't understand it because you used to chewing on your steak real hard at Applebee's. You don't understand that steak's supposed to melt in your mouth. Mm-hmm. You don't even understand that there's levels to it. You're maybe, you see the pink in the steak and you get turned off. You don't want to see no pink. Right? And what does that
That's
say?
That's how you used to be.
That's how I used to be. What does that say to someone who has an evolved palate when you freaking out over the pink?
You don't know what you're doing.
You don't know what you're doing, right? You don't know. You don't know, right? And so let me educate you, right? There's premium and then there's amateur, right? And it's not just when it comes to food and the cars and the clothes and everything else. It's all over our lives, right? It also matters when it comes to your design, when it comes to your branding, when it comes to your website, your graphics, your funnels. It's the same thing.
Speaking of premium branding, let's pay some bills real quick. Your online presence may be holding you back, but we can fix that. Entrepreneurs, coaches, speakers, be honest. Are you proud of your website or do you cringe every time someone asks you for your link? Here's the deal. You don't need to gamble on a full redesign. With Panda Commission's Divine Redesign Movement, you get a pro-level website or funnel mockup for just $100, risk-free. We're talking expert design, not run-of-the-mill templates that everyone else is using. In less than a week, you'll have a high-converting, premium look for your brand. Love it? Move forward with a full redesign. Don't walk away, no pressure. Spots are limited, and your next client is judging your website right now. Don't let bad design cost you business. Your digital breakthrough is just one redesign away. Lock in your $100 mock-up today at mydivineredesign.com. Panda Commission, premium design for your business at every stage. All right, so let's be fair. Not every business needs a 10K branding package day one. So when does it make sense to invest in the premium branding?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much when you're starting out, right? When you're just a startup, maybe you don't have a lot of capital. Maybe you don't even have your idea. You don't even know if your idea can make money yet, right? It's not even flushed out yet, right? If you have not made any sales, you don't really have a proven idea. You don't really know if the market even wants what you're trying to sell. I wouldn't necessarily advise that you go hard on the branding initially because you don't have a proven offer. You can definitely sell what you're trying to sell without necessarily having to have it all be, all those things. Now, once again, done right is better than perfect. You still put your best foot forward. You still do what you need to do. But I don't necessarily see people recommend people investing a whole lot in the early stages, right? Now, if you got something proven, you know that it's going to work. You are making money, and you're ready to level up. Like you've already made money, but you're kind of hitting a plateau. You're looking to increase your conversions. That's the time to invest. You're trying to grow your company. You're trying to reach a new audience. Maybe you're trying to increase your prices. All these things are indicators for you to rethink your branding, make sure it's more polished, make sure it matches where you're trying to go. Those are the times that you want to invest. Because at some point you outgrow your homemade look, your do-it-yourself look, right? At some point, if your business is successful, you start to outgrow it. Our first logo that we had, it wasn't the logo that we have now, right? I don't even know if you remember our first logo.
I can't remember. What was it?
It was like, man, I might show the audience, but it was basically a logo I got from it was cheap. It was one of those. I think I paid $30 for the logo.
Oh,
yeah. But once again, we were just starting out.
I can't even remember what it looks like.
Here's the thing about it: even though we were just starting out and I had a $30 logo, I was able to successfully charge $5,000 a package and get people to buy it because of how everything else was presented. We still presented like a premium brand because it was still positioned. So I was still intentional. I still did it right rather than just getting it done, right? But at the time, we didn't have the capital to invest in, a premium logo. So once we did, we got, an actual designer, somebody outsourced, it wasn't in-house. We got somebody who has designed for corporations like BMW and Adidas and all these. And so that person we had tasked with designing our new logo, and they did an amazing job and gave us a whole new brand and colors and everything like that. And that definitely cost way more than $30 for them to do. And so, and this is the thing I want to just kind of, let people know that it's okay definitely to do it yourself, right? But at some point, you are going to have to invest in branding if you're trying to get to the levels that you want to get to. And one thing that kind of really bothers me is when I hear a lot of people, especially some of the people at the top, telling people that it don't matter how their brand looks.
Ooh, that irks me too.
Now, and I'm going to tell you why.
And it hurts my heart.
Yeah. Well, tell me why it impacts you, and I'll tell you why it impacts me.
Because it's almost hypocritical. Because these people at the top, I saw it in the ad a little while ago. I was telling you about someone in particular who was saying, you don't need to invest all this money in your logo and your branding, and it's like, but look at you though. You have clearly, your branding is amazing. You can tell this person has invested tens of thousands, if not, hundred thousands of dollars in their brand.
Yeah.
And they're telling people, don't spend any money on your branding.
It don't matter.
It doesn't.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because to me, it makes no sense, because they know that the reason why that person is attracted to them and buying their course, their program, whatever, is because of their branding.
Exactly.
They make sure to show up with their graphics on point, their funnel on point, their website on point, and they make sure that it looks amazing. Why? Because they're trying to attract people. They want to build that know, like, and trust quickly. So they make sure their video looks on point, the video montage, the everything is
The
like
outfit, everything is laid.
Everything is laid, like it is really, really good. And so you think to yourself, oh, my money's secure here, right? This person, I can trust them. They seem like they're credible. They're obviously making money and doing well. I can trust what they're saying. So I'm gonna spend my money with them, right? You know, like that's a part of it. And then you turn around and tell them, don't try to be like me, right? Just do whatever you can to make money. And knowing that likely is not going to end well for them, right? At some point, because the person likely got into the program or whatever because they want to look like you. They're like, oh, I want my site to look like yours.
Right. They're trying to invest with that person to try to get the
information.
To get the information so they can look like that and be as big as they are.
Exactly.
But they ain't going to tell you.
But they
going to say, just keep spending this money with me.
Keep going to
do
Canva.
It yourself. Get somebody on Fiverr, even though they have an in-house design team or premium design agencies that they work with.
Or they're hiring somebody like us to do it. Absolutely. And the thing is, like, and so we want to let y'all know that that's the truth, right? That's the truth. We actually have a series that we're going to be doing soon called, and it may be out by the time you guys see this. It's called the hidden advantage, right? The hidden advantage, and we uncover how a lot of these big brands stay relevant is because of their design and their intentionality around their design.
Right. Whether it's like a big corporation or an entrepreneur, you know, they're all intentional about
They're all intentional.
Branding.
7-8 figure brands constantly are investing in this because they know it matters. They know it matters. If it directly impacts their bottom line. Design and branding directly impacts their bottom line. And you're going to see this. This is the other thing too. It depends on who you're listening to. And I want people to pay close attention to this because it depends on your target audience. If your target audience is a certain demographic, to a degree, they do not care about how it looks, right? How the branding looks, right? They don't care about that to an extent. And what I mean by don't care is like they're not necessarily impressed by a high level of design.
Right.
Whereas other demographics are impressed with it, and it should be something that you should have if you're going to attract them. Here's an example I'm going to give you guys, okay? So if we were to go to a cookout, we go on and people eating, right? And somebody said, I made some chicken.
Oh, goodness.
Right? There is a certain demographic of people that if you say you made some chicken, the only thing they're expecting is salt and pepper. Right?
Okay.
And there's another demographic where that thing better be what?
Seasoned to the gall.
It better be seasoned, right? And everything you cook better be seasoned. I don't care what it is. It could be the chicken. It could be the mac and cheese. It could be like, because mac and cheese need to be seasoned too. Don't be coming up with them noodles that ain't seasoned.
Oh,
right?
no. Yes, you got to season the noodles.
You got to season the noodles, right? I don't care what it is.
And the potato salad better not have any raisins.
Oh, my God, right? So there's certain demographics that care about how certain things are presented.
Yes.
Right? So if you're trying to attract that particular audience, then yeah, you need to show up a certain way because that's what attracts them. If you're trying to attract another audience, then be intentional about how you show up for them. I'm not trying to get y'all confused, right? We're saying being intentional and understand who you're trying to target. So it does matter. It always matters, right? But if you're listening to certain gurus and they're telling you how to attract, let's say, audience 1, right? But you're using methods for audience 2, it's not going to work, right? Because they're saying, hey, they're used to serving this type of clientele. That clientele don't really matter. They don't matter to them how it look. My funnel, my website it look regular and I still made millions of dollars. They're not telling you also that they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, not millions of dollars in ads to make sure it was seen by nearly everybody in the world. They're not telling you that. And they're also not telling you that their conversion rates are average, but because they spent so much money and so many people saw it, they still made money. And also that audience, doesn't really care about how it looks. But that's not your audience. you're not the same type of person. So when you try to apply those same exact tactics and come about the same way, it's missing. It ain't landing the same way. And then you're wondering why certain people who are targeting your same demographic are winning. Likely it's because they did the right things branding wise, design wise to attract them. Because that's what you got to do. We just keep it real, right?
Who keeping it all the way real.
All right, that's what I wanted to say about that. Like, I feel like I needed to get that off my chest.
Oh, I'm glad you finally did.
So here's the truth, y'all. Branding is an investment, right? It's not an expense. And what I mean by that is, of course, it's an expense in the line item, but it's not just something that has no ROI. Branding has ROI. It's something that can come back to you and will come back to you when you do it the right way. It's a part of the long game. It increases your credibility. It increases your trust. And it often leads to higher conversions when done right. The DIY or the do-it-yourself or the homemade look can only take you so far. Am I right, babe?
Very right.
It can only take you so far, right? But if you're trying to really do what you're trying to do in terms of like growing and scaling your business, at some point, you got to get to the professional side of things. You got to get it premium.
It boils down to, if you want to make more money, you have to invest some money.
That's it. So honestly, let me ask you a question.
It doesn't have to be a whole lot of money.
What do you mean?
Like, your investment in your branding doesn't have to be, the hundreds of thousands of dollars that the gurus spend.
It doesn't. It doesn't. So let me ask you a question. What's the real cost of bad branding?
The real cost is turning people off from your brand. The real cost is low conversion rates. The real cost is getting a bad reputation of your brand. Like, if you're throwing something out there that looks cheap or looks homemade, people will interpret that as, oh, well, this is the type of experience I'm going to get working with this person.
There it is.
They're going to give me something that isn't really of value, so why should I go and spend money with them anyway?
Yep. Missed opportunities, like you said, turning people off. Absolutely. It's something we just can no longer do. If you're serious about your business, you can't keep doing this to yourself. It's going to cost you more in the long run. It's actually, when you're trying to save money, you're actually costing yourself money by not doing it the right way. And
you're not going to attract the right clients. Yeah. So you may be putting something out and you're like, let's say, you have a high ticket offer, right? And you're trying to get people to spend thousands of dollars for your program, your service, or whatever it is. But you're putting out these graphics and, your website is looking like, oh, maybe I can haggle with them. Negotiate. It looked like they can give me a discount. Exactly.
That's cold.
But it's real though.
It is real.
So if you're ready to stop playing the DIY game and doing it yourself, then hit us up at Panda Commission. We'll make sure that your brand isn't costing you clients. And we also want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel, share this episode if it was of value to you, and also leave a comment. We want to hear about your experiences with DIY. Now, here's the thing. We weren't trying to offend folks. I know sometimes we get a little sensitive. People say, I'm an artist. I'm sensitive about my stuff, right? We get it. But if you also have experienced the difference between premium branding and doing it yourself, let people know about your experience in the comments. Let them know how you're able to make money. Either way, we love to have a discussion. And also make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Panda Commission. Panda Commission, one word. We're there at every single channel, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We'll see you there. If your brand looks cheap, people will assume your business is too. Coaches, speakers, small business owners, be honest. Does your brand look like the premium high-value business you say it is? Or does it scream, I did it myself, but this ain't my ministry? Listen, a powerful brand isn't just designed, it's built with intention. And if your brand looks basic, don't expect premium clients. That's where Panda Commission comes in. We take care of all your design needs, websites, funnels, and graphics. Unlimited, high-quality designs completely done for you. No more unreliable freelancers, no more overpriced agencies, just a flat monthly rate and branding that actually increases your conversions. It's time to show up like the authority you are. Get unlimited premium design. Visit PandaCommission.com and sign up today. Panda Commission, premium design for your business at every stage.